they've been taking merch cuts, and I think that's horrible. I think that's just wrong. You know what I mean? Like, we don't take bar cuts anymore.
What's good, everybody? Just had a great conversation with Sam Durkes, incredible drummer, creative director, music maker, and he had great stories from the road. If you're interested in going on the road or what it looks like from the perspective of that drummer, from the van all the way up to the tour bus, Sam has done it with Ezra Furman all over the world. A whole bunch of great tips about how to make it from random city to random city or how to navigate Europe. Absolutely just wonderful conversation about what it really, really looks like to take this show on the road. Before we do, I'd like to introduce our title sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid makes music distribution fun and easy with unlimited uploads, and artists get to keep 100% of royalties and earnings. 1 million plus artists rely on DistroKid to get their music onto Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, Instagram, and all of the major streaming services. And you can sign up today at distrokid.com/VIP/lovemusicmore for 30% off. It's a great way to get your music out there. I use it. It's an awesome way just to release a whole bunch of music, keep your royalties, and get it on the internet. Get it on all the places, all the DSPs. Enjoy the conversation. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Love Music More. I am Scoobert Dubert, and I am joined with Sam Durkes. Welcome to the pod.
Hey, thank you so much, Scuba. This is awesome.
Super excited to talk. One of the things I wanted to start off with was what it's like to be touring, figuring out strategy, getting out into what city do we play? What does this actually look like at a ground level? Because I think a lot of people are like, I want to tour.
Yeah.
How? Or where do I even start? It's one thing if you've got a record label or a touring man, the agent world, and you just kind of go on that path. It's another thing if you're like, I'm going to make this happen myself.
That's a great question. I've done it all because I've been touring for about 20 years. So
awesome.
Definitely in those early stages, you're doing everything so DIY. And I can't stress that enough. You can't just wait around for a booking agent to contact you and put you on a good support tour or anything like that. Mm-hmm. So a lot of it, definitely when I was starting out, was we're a Chicago band, but when we wanted to branch out, we branched out to the bands first that we thought of in Milwaukee that we knew that played Chicago with us, or that we just knew of in the scene, or in Madison. So we weren't going very far because you're not going to make a whole lot of money initially, even though, some of those DIY spots can pass around a hat and do okay. But it is contacting that whatever base you have and starting from there and starting small and knowing that it's, you keep doing it, it's going to build. And I mean, that's the idea. And reach out to who's around you that already,
Really good. And then I like that too about what that 2-ish hour circle is from wherever you live.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if you're on the East Coast, you got a little easier. You know what I mean?
So true. Yeah, not as spread out.
You can do a lot there. Just, with Philly, New York, Boston's not too far. And then on the West Coast, you really got to be a little bit craftier because some of the drives can be crazy long. You're thinking, I'll do LA and San Francisco. That's a 7-hour drive. You can't really do that on a show day, even though you probably will have to starting out. But it's just those things where it's okay, we got to find a spot that's in between. You know what I mean? And that's where the strategy lies for sure. Yeah,
that's really, really clever. And it's also one of those classic, Europeans don't know how big America is. Sometimes I feel like East Coasters don't know how big the West Coast is and how damn spread out we are.
For sure. Yeah. Definitely very true about the Europeans don't know how big American is until they come over here and they're it's I was just touring with a UK band, Modern Woman, on this last Ezra tour. We were over in Europe, and I was talking to them on one of the late night drives, and we were just talking about they haven't toured America yet. And they're like, how long do you think we would reasonably need to carve out to do the whole thing? And I was like, I mean, 6 to 8 weeks, you know what I mean? Like, and that's like, you're dirty dogging it. You know what I mean? You're doing those gnarly runs. You know what I mean? You're
Totally
driving a couple hours after the show, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's very big.
Seriously. For those kind of tours, are you trading off driving? Do you hire a driver? Like, what does that look like? That sounds exhausting right after the show to hop in the van.
Right. I mean, like, ideally, you know, it's always good to go out, even when you're starting out, to go out with a friend who's interested in maybe music, that like likes promotion or management, or just something where they want to get into the industry. They're not necessarily like an artist, or like, you know, they film or something like that.
Yeah.
They just want to break in a different way. You could bring them along and they can help you manage, like, even doing merch, you know what I mean? Or just helping with driving. You know, if you're young enough and it's early enough, and you probably find one of those friends, you know what I mean? And they're kind of crucial. I remember, I can recall like a couple tours specifically, like having that buddy who's just like, you know what? I just quit my job, whatever. I'll come on the road with you guys. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I was just like, it made such a difference, you know? Just morale too.
And like the cognitive load, morale is a great point too, of just like having somebody you can share this with. But the cognitive load, I feel it when I do sets where I don't have support musicians and I'm kind of like having to be the tech and also like play the guitar and then switch to the bass and sing and do the tracks. And you're like, I don't have any room in my brain to actually be a good performer now. Or like if something goes wrong, it is a microchip and it can all explode.
No, 100%. Yeah, it's exactly like that.
Totally. And then can you tell me a little bit about some of the different roles that you've played touring? Like from, you know, drums, I see the guitars, and I think I see a bass behind you. So
oh, for sure. Well, those are just, I'm mainly a drummer for sure.
Cool. Yeah.
I you know, these things are just for fun, for messing around. But
nice.
Yeah, I mean, in that regard, I've done a lot. Like I've helped book tours that we've gone on, obviously. Cool. I've tour managed a bunch of the tours very early on, like picking somebody when you don't have that friend, but picking somebody in the band, sometimes, you know, the drummer, you know what I'm saying? It's not ever the lead singer, but, you know, unless you're John Dwyer, but, you know, picking that somebody and being like, okay, maybe you can like, or, you know, just be like the responsible one on this run. And you know what I mean? And be like the one who's keeping the spreadsheet. 'Cause it's always important to keep these things, keeping the books from the jump is super important, tidying up all that stuff. And, you know, just having somebody, the point person, to like settle up, interact with the promoter, and just be like, you know, the generally like, you know, pleasant to be around, you know?
Yeah, I think that would be a really cool thing to tell the audience a little bit about the different roles and jobs. Sometimes they're collapsed into one person, but like the difference between a booking manager, an agent versus a tour manager versus, you know, what it's like to be the drummer in the band, kind of how those different hats, those different roles are split out.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people are kind of like, what is like, the difference between a manager and a tour manager? And like a tour manager is just that. They're like hired by the band to be the person that handles all the spreadsheets, interfaces with all the promoters, advances all the shows. A lot of times they wear a couple different hats, so they're driving a lot of the time, doing the majority of the driving at least. And, you know, early on, if you can find that person, they're also doing sound. But like, yeah, that person is just on the road with you. And then the booking agent is somebody you have that doesn't come on the road with you, but organizes the routing and organizes all the deals you get with the venues or the promoters. So they're just the ones that you talk to the first thing when you're like, okay, I got 2 weeks here. I want to book a tour. And they're like, okay, let's go through what cities we're going to hit. So they kind of have an analytical brain like that. And also they have great relationships with the promoters and the venues. And so that's super important. And then you have, you know, if you can afford it, you know, and you can bring another crew member, the other crew member is the sound person. And that person, you know, if you can bring them along, then that's fantastic. And they can also do a bit of the driving on those long drives. The tour manager is definitely just a person who's just like on the road with you that just takes care of everything. They're really, really crucial, and you get to know them super well, and they need to have such a cool temperament to do that job. It's really not for everybody. It's really hard. And to get somebody that does it well is a beautiful thing, for sure.
Yes. I'm actually, I want to ask you about getting paid. So when a band goes and plays a show, I don't know if a lot of people understand the different ways that the bill can get kind of split up, what an advance is, what like cuts at the door or bar or merch, how all of these things kind of interact. And I know that this has changed also post-pandemic, and a lot of clubs are trying to take some percentage of the merch table and merch take. How does that like work out, like the economics of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you brought up the merch thing. But just the basics of it is that, like, you know, basically the booking agent is going to contact the venue and they're going to work out. And most times, if you are a touring band that's probably gone through there once or twice, you might get a small guarantee. And then once the venue, after all their expenses, recoups that, then they can work on giving you a share of the door, or the ticket price. So there's a lot of different ways they do it. Sometimes it's just a flat guarantee. That is what it is. Sometimes it's just the door, so you get no guarantee. That's largely going to happen if you've never been there before, and it's, that's more the promoter and the venue are taking a risk on you.
Yeah.
Because they don't know how many tickets you sell. They have no data on that or anything like that. Yeah, I mean, those are the ways you can get paid. And then recently, more and more venues, because they've been bought by maybe the bigger conglomerates or something like that, they've been taking merch cuts. And I think that's horrible. I think that's just wrong. You know what I mean? Like, we don't take bar cuts anymore. Like, it's been, you know what I mean? Like, you really don't. That's unless you're like starting out playing in like, a bar band or something. That's different. You know what I mean? Taking a cut of the bar. But, yeah, they're just trying to like squeeze another buck out of these small bands, and it's getting just more and more expensive to tour, and merch is the way to make money a lot of the times. So like for them to take a cut of that is pretty gnarly for sure. And I've encountered that a lot, and they don't care. You know what I mean? They just don't. They're like, play somewhere else. You know what I mean? It's kind of that attitude.
Wow.
So
gnarly.
Yeah.
No, and it's such a crazy thing, because I feel like to fans, you pay the ticket price and you think that's going to the band, or some percentage of it's going to the band. You're like, ticket prices are so high. It's like, well,
I mean, there's so many expenses these days, and they keep getting higher. I mean, on the venue side, they have to hire security. We need a lot of security. I mean, expenses went up, even just in the last couple of years, because we need so much security for these venues. We just do. I mean, it's a sad thing. I don't know. It's just sad. And like, I remember the days before, having to do a security meeting, and then the days after that. And it's just, it's different. And, on their end, it's just also personnel goes up and people are drinking less, all this stuff. So they have their own expenses that are going up, revenue that's not coming in, along with the bands have that exact thing. And like, we're hitting ahead right now. That's for sure. I mean, I'm reading more and more about it's hitting the pop world, I guess, in a big way. But yeah, it's just, you take it out on the fans, and that sucks. And that's like totally not fair, because they have to like spend more money,
Right. No, totally. One of my buddies toured with him a bit. Bassist, his name's Matt, for Eagles of Death Metal.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, but they had it's terrible. But like the security impact that I think globally as well is just absolutely crazy. And I don't know, things that you would never think of, but these are all components, and like gas prices, all these things are felt acutely by touring musicians, because they're getting from city to city, they're figuring it out, they're having to haul gear. Oh my God, one of my another group of friends, they have an awesome band called Moonchild. Their entire trailer got taken, and all of it, incredible gear, just gone, soundboard,
priceless, one of a kinds. Like, I know you hear about that happening. Thank God it's never happened to me, knock on wood.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's nothing you can do. There's like nothing you can do. You know what I mean? If thieves want it, they're going to get it. And like, you got to park somewhere. You know what I mean? Like,
seriously.
And that just derails you. And that just derails a tour. You know what I mean?
Yeah, punch in the gut. And like, you're a big target. You literally are leaving the venue, and you're putting the stuff into the van, and off you go. Right. No, and you like, especially like a starting out band, you're not staying at a great neighborhood or a great hotel.
Right. It's like wherever your friends are living, and you're sleeping on an ottoman, and like, it's usually not the best. So I hear that,
Yeah.
Being like, I mean, that's like big thing early on was just like being really strategic how we park the car. You know what I mean? How we park the van was a big concern.
Yeah, totally. No, of course. It's such a fascinating thing. I just love talking about obviously this is a crappy subject, but I love talking about the real stuff that goes behind the shows you go see. Cause it's not, I don't know. It's a very small percentage of acts that have everything they need.
Yeah. Right. For sure. And the weirdest stuff can go wrong. Like things you don't even think, like you need more merch. So you get the merch company to send it to the venue. They say they talk to somebody at the venue and it's been accepted. They say it's at this door. You go to that door. It's not there. That's 4 boxes of merch you're never going to get back. You know what I mean? And you can't sell that. And it's just like little things like that are just so like, you have to just laugh at it and be like, whatever, we have to keep going. You know what I mean? Like soldier on. But it's just the little things that are just like, when you're a touring act, when your show is on the road, you know what I mean? And I mean, there's just so many things that you're juggling so many balls. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. Absolutely. But it goes back to that community idea of you have a touring manager or something that now you have somebody that else can be that rock you can vent with, you can figure things out, you can call the insurance company, whatever.
Yeah. Right.
You don't just have to put that all on the band whenever possible. Don't, because band's trying to, make people have a great time and have a great night. And gosh, what a drag.
It really is a drag. Yeah. But having that tour manager, I think, is just so crucial. And so it's just so nice to have. It's such a luxury,
Totally. I want to hear more about Europe. It's so curious. I think a lot of like our audience is in the United States. And so I think they understand what it's like to go on a road trip, and then they could think like, okay, I'm going on a road trip with instruments and stress. What's that look like in Europe? What are the logistics of touring around there? Are you in a van? Are you taking trains? Some combination, flying around? What did that look like with Ezra?
Yeah, a combination of all that. I mean, we started touring in Europe in like 2000, maybe, 14 or something like that. And we really focused a lot of our energy there. So we've done it all. Like we've done tours where, we had to take planes, trains, and buses and taxis. And like, that's crazy. And like, you know what I mean? Like, really just sleeping in airports and stuff and bus terminals. Yeah. I mean, normally you link up with somebody that can drive you around. If you're an American band, you're going over there, you're probably not going to drive yourself. It's weird to drive on the other side in England, but also like just Europe, you just don't know. It's different. It's older and like, you just don't know the roads and stuff. And in Germany, the Autobahn is super scary. I mean, those people are flying down the road. So, and we've done that. We've done a tour where we did it ourselves and we were like, we're never doing that again. What? That was horrible.
It was risky.
But largely, it's, you find somebody over there. The nice thing about touring Europe, and I'm excluding England with this, but the hospitality is so much better. They pride themselves more in it, like giving the bands food and drink and just making them feel super welcome. And they just have more of just like a bit, just starting out in the developing music world. Yeah, just having that, they know that comfort, that sense of comfort when you're coming over there makes a huge difference. And they know the show will be even better. And that's why I feel like a lot of bands break over there first,
Totally.
But, England's a bit more like America, except that they don't give you anything and 2 drink tickets and the drives are so much shorter, England's the size of like Illinois. So,
right.
Until you're getting up to the Highlands in Scotland, everything's pretty close. So, but yeah, I mean, it's great. I've met some amazing people over there. I mean, and I know plenty of bands that have done it like DIY too, and they have a great time doing that. Like a lot of my friends are in like metal bands in Oakland, and they always do they link up with these like small booking agents, like dirty dog, nitty gritty booking agents that really care and don't care about making any money.
Yeah. They
book you in the craziest places. You know what I mean? Like, it's just cool. Like they'll put up shows anywhere. Yeah. People turn out. It's just like, it's when people have a little bit of skin in the game, they do a good job, I think. Yeah. With Ezra, we've done it all. I mean, recently we've been more on like the tour bus way of living on tour, and that's fantastic. I mean, if you can afford it, but it's great. But it took us, 12 years to get there.
12 years. Overnight success.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah, tour bus. Maybe we should talk a little bit about that, the good side. When you're able to do a tour bus, can you explain how the sides of the bus extend in the parking lot and kind of the ways that, how you sleep,
right.
the bunkage, all that kind of stuff. Maybe I feel like a lot of people, maybe they're in a motorhome or something, but a tour bus is fundamentally built a little different.
It is. It's like, it feels really solid. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
totally.
It doesn't really feel like an RV or a Winnebago in that regard. Like it feels like you're like a building on wheels. And there's a couple different types. I've done like the single story one where you have like a lounge in the front, and it's nice. There's like a coffee maker and there's a fridge. So the nice thing about that is, like, especially in Europe, with the hospitality, they usually like get your riders so that if you don't use all of it, you can bring it onto the bus and put it in the refrigerator.
Nice.
It's just like a simple thing like that, right? So you can always have like fresh fruit, for example.
Yes.
Yeah, and like vegetables. I know,
Right.
it's crazy. And it's not just like, waking up in like the Days Inn parking lot and being like, okay, a McMuffin again or whatever. Worse than that. So, it's nice because you can go back there. It's your own private spot for the band lounges and stuff like that, band and crew. But then you have your bunks, and that's in the back. And the beautiful thing about that is it's dead silent. It is supposed to be completely quiet and cold and dark, and it's just for sleeping.
Yeah.
And everybody really respects that. You know what I mean? From the jump, and it's really nice to work together, living with people in that way. Like, I don't really have roommates like that anymore. So it's kind of that vibe where there's always somebody to chill with.
Yeah.
And thankfully it's only for like a couple weeks at a time. You know what I mean? But it's like a sanctuary, the bus. It's just like a place you can go, and it's not the green room and the venue, and it's a place where you can just like kind of turn your brain off and do whatever you need to do. So it's really nice.
Yeah, that is really nice. Yeah. When I only did a few bus tours, but when I first did it, somebody was like, it's like a little coffin. And I had amazing sleep.
Yes. I know, you really get used to it. One of the guys on the last tour we did with Modern Woman, they came on the bus with us. We had like a double-decker bus.
Cool. Awesome.
It was pretty cool. And one of the dudes, the drummer, Adam of Modern Woman, was like 6'5". And I was like, how do you sleep in that? He's like, actually, I sleep better in here than I do at home. I don't know why. And he was like, we had like 2 days off in London. So he went home and he's like, I had terrible sleep. I had terrible sleep. And I was like, that's crazy.
That's crazy. Embarrassing thing. When I first went into the bus, I was going to sleep with my head first, like towards the driver. And someone was kind enough to be like, no, if we rear end someone, you will break your neck.
Like, that's a good thing to
pro tip
for sure. Yeah, pro tip.
Feet towards the driver.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Sorry to interrupt this very important broadcast. What I'm asking for is for you to rate it 5 stars, share it with your friends. This is like the most important thing for this podcast to grow. So if you want to do this, you go onto the podcast screen, right? You click on the ... on Spotify. Under there, it says rate show, and you go and you click it. 5 stars. If you could do that for me, that's the best way for the algorithms, all this stuff, to share it out with the world. I know that it's a lot to ask, but if you could please just hit those 3 dots and then a 5 star, it would really help us out and helps us, get the word out and spread the love of music. So thank you. If you're listening on YouTube, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you so much. And here's the rest of the episode.
It's funny, like in the bus when you fall asleep and then you really figure out when you reach the city. Yeah. Because it's just like totally. All these turns. You're like, how many? You've been turning for like 4 hours. But
yes, it's so true.
Yeah. But it's really nice. And it's it's just nice to have your own space on tour. It's like,
For sure. Yeah. Draw that curtain.
Yeah.
Off you go. Yeah, it is a special thing, but it is so funny how you can have that, and then the next week you could be in a van again.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? Yeah, definitely. Yep.
not a linear. It is jagged all over the place.
Oh my God. And different like territories too, because it's like for the Ezra band, we do like pretty good numbers in Europe and UK. Like we'll do, 2,500 or 3,000 tickets in London or something like that, and throughout the UK. But then when we tour America, I mean, it's just so much more downsized, and everything is just such a shoestring. Yeah. And it's just, it's different audiences. You know what I mean? It's like where you hit and where things are taking a bit more time. So, and I see that with a lot of bands.
That is interesting. And then also there's part of it that I think should feel heartwarming to some, because it's like they might be playing in their local region or whatever, but they might just not know that their audience is over here.
Yeah.
Or, like they think like I'm at this level. It's like, no, actually, if you were in France or whatever, you would be, filling up a much larger venue.
No, 100%. And like when the Ezra Furman band first started touring in Europe, it was like a last hurrah. We had been doing 2 years of touring off this one record that like wasn't hitting in America, and we booked a European tour because somebody was like, it's a good idea, and like there's some radio play in England. And then we were like, all right, cool, we'll do it, and then we'll just call it quits. But when we went over there, all the shows were sold out.
Wow.
And we didn't know, you know what I mean? We turned up and we had just a bunch of radio play on BBC Six, and that had just turned into something, and we had just no idea. So to your point, it's real weird. You know what I mean? Especially with like, Spotify and stuff like that. Just
exactly.
Or just like digital radio, satellite radio is everywhere, so it's, it's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And it's crazy and weird. It's such a funny industry in terms of like strategy for people that are trying to start out or break into the next stage. And I feel like it's kind of hard to know what to do. Obviously all this stuff changes all the time, but if you had any advice that you were going to give to somebody that's like, hey, I've been writing songs, I made a record, where do I go from here?
Yeah, right on. I mean, I would say just release it and start going at it, and start getting your core group together of other bands you want to play with, other bands you want to like collaborate with in some way. Start just building your network, you know what I mean? And start play a lot. And, you can, you don't even have to be that discernible with the shows. Just like play, take them and see if you can connect with some people, or, at that early stage, I mean, at any stage, really, like the most important thing is like connecting with the audience and connecting directly with your fans, getting them to feel that connection with you, and you grab them one by one. You really do. You're not going to get a bunch all at once that are like, maybe you'll get virality or something like that and a bunch of Instagram subscribers or followers or something, but it's not going to be that core real super fan or like real fan that's really connects with you on a different level. Yeah, man, it's starting small. It's thinking small with sustainable growth, and just figuring out how you can just, project it up all the way. And that's really with your network, with reaching out and getting the human connection out there. It really is.
Yeah, good advice. I want to talk a little drums.
Yeah, right on.
Some of your favorite influences, some of the people that you channel into like the things that you do, especially if it's two contrasting styles of drummer or time periods or something like that, would be super curious.
Right on. I mean, somebody I've been listening to a lot, even just like his solo drum stuff, is Malcolm Caddo. I mean, like he is just the man. I mean, that Little Barry record that came out last year or 2 years ago, maybe, I think it was last year. His tones are so good. I think he engineered it. I mean, it's crazy. His feel is amazing. His ghost notes are crazy. His snare tone is bonkers. I mean, everything's bonkers. It just sounds so good. He's using those like old Coles or something like that. And so, yes, he's like a super big influence on me. And then somebody else, like just straight up, would be Pat Wilson from Weezer.
Cool.
I think he rules. I mean, there's a fill in Say It Ain't So, and like that wrecked me when I heard that, when I first started, because that record came out maybe a couple years later. I started making started playing drums, but like I'm still trying to figure out that fill. It's so good, it's so cool. His feel is really nice. He's really clean playing.
Yeah,
Pinkerton tones, amazing.
Yeah,
amazing tones. And he just seems like a cool guy. I don't know. But like those two guys I can definitely, and like Omar Hakim, dude. I think he's like, wow, dude. And like, he was a kid when he played on that dance, the Bowie song.
Yeah.
He was a kid. He was like, I don't know, maybe 20 or something like that. Yes. Like, it was so, that feels amazing. Those drums are crazy. And I'm not even the biggest fan of the tones of those, but like, man, his feel is amazing. And he's so cool. And like, man, he was just so cool. And everybody used him back in the day. And like, he was, so yeah, those three are big. What about you?
My favorite drummers?
Yeah.
So I like Bernard Purdy.
Oh yeah.
Lewis Cole is one of my favorites. Talking like contrast. Nate Smith.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Talking about ghost notes. I saw him recently. It's like unfair the way that his like forearms and wrists work.
I know.
I'm like, dude, how do you do that? Like,
such
I
ease.
Can't practice. To be able
I know,
to do
dude. Just you were born with it. I don't know. I don't believe you practiced at all. I think you just got it. No, he's the man.
Yeah. Why don't we talk about what ghost notes are, just in case we've been using this? Like, people know, you hit a drum, big snare, like clapping on 2 and 4 kind of thing. What about the stuff in between?
Yeah, right on. I mean, first of all, the term ghost note is so cool.
So cool.
This is a cool. Like that's that's the. But yeah, what about the stuff in between? I mean, that's where like the funk comes in. You know what I mean? That's where you can really play with the timing a bit and really connect your whole beat. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like playing around with like the syncopation and just like what you're doing with the hi-hat and the snare and just figuring out like a cool groove and like playing with the timing of it all. I mean, that's just, and like the different velocities you can do is that's just another element. That's a big element. You know what I mean? That's unlocking like another dimension. You got to go easy with the compressors sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
But, no, but I mean, like, it's all cool. Yeah, ghost notes, man. Look them up, kids. It's the best. Learn them. Do some cool stuff with them.
Even if you're programming, you got to put some in.
You got to put them in. Yeah. I know. It's 100%. 100%.
Yeah, no, it's funny too, watching, especially people in electronic music, get to discover over the course of like when they start out to where they end up, push and pull and placement. And because a lot of things, it's like it's on the grid, you click it, and it's quantized and we're good, and that's the way music's supposed to be. And then you listen to a drummer and you're like, that feels so much better than what I just programmed.
Oh yeah. I mean, I know I haven't my stuff set up right now, but I mean like, yeah, exactly. Programming versus the playing. I mean, they each have their own spot, but
totally.
I mean,
love them both.
Some of the times it is just like, oh, that's it. I just needed to play it. You know what I mean?
Right, totally.
I just needed to make the mistakes.
Exactly.
That's all it is. I just needed to play it kind of worse than the computer.
Yep.
And like, that's the glue,
Totally is. And like, even just within a bar, just that little shake, like, people program the 16th note hi-hat, like single hand kind of 16th note hi-hat style. And it's like, that will never sound as cool as somebody playing it. Just will never be as funky.
I agree. You subconsciously lock into the groove. You lock into what other people are playing. You know what I mean? Maybe you're not like thinking about what the bass is playing, but you're playing with it. You know what I mean? You're locking in and you are, making those kind of decisions with them. So like that kind of partnership, with the rhythm section is super important.
Totally. And it's like, that is the glue, that is the funk. And it's funny because I think some people confuse metronomes with that. Like people are like, oh yeah, like old music was cool because it like sped up or slowed down. It's like, yeah, sure, that can be cool. But it's not necessarily an absence of a click or tracks make the groove not good. It's like, no, like you're making micro decisions. You're dancing with the metronome. It's not necessarily dictating everything you do. I don't know. It's one of my
I think that's dancing with the metronome. You're playing with the metronome for sure.
Yeah.
You can make it hip. Like there's that old Carol Kay clip where she's metronomes on the upbeats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's playing with it and you're like, whoa, that's hip. That's hipper. So yeah, the metronome. Yeah, exactly what you said. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think that people have a feeling like it's either the electronic or it's very vintage and flowy and whatever. It's like the space in between is so cool. And also like defines what modern music is, of like recording digitally, playing analog, and the interface between is where, I don't know, like that's where I think we have the most to say nowadays versus like just trying to rehash vintage stuff.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Not to say that that's bad either. Like that's,
no, I
that's
agree.
cool.
I mean, like, no, I do it all. Believe you me, I love the vintage tones. I mean, like, I start there. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Because I'm like, that instantly sounds good. Don't get me wrong. But like through more evolution with it, I think that is where you have more to say. I mean, I totally agree with that. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's just like where the room is in the musical conversation across all the time or whatever. It's like, but at the same time, if I tried to make a straight up Motown record, I would fail, and that could be really cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fail. So not saying don't try to emulate something, because you're probably not going to do a good enough job, or you're not going to have access to the things.
You don't have the stuff.
It'll sound different. And then, like Wolfpack is a cool example of like, it does not sound like vintage music. It is its own weird, overcompressed, strange thing. That's
for
sick.
sure. It's like they created a vibe for sure, and it's awesome, and I love how they came to it. I think that's what's up. Yeah.
Me too. No, it's like, it's reimagining the past as though it were a dream. I do love, that's one of the things that I think is fun in songwriting, is like if you're kind of like riffing on something and you try and turn it into the cover song, but you don't quite remember exactly everything about the cover song, then you come up with a melody that's like reminiscent, but it's like, oh no, that's mine now. Like bad memory can be very valuable in creativity.
Oh yeah.
Curious about your take on kind of like recording. Obviously, sweet microphone. What microphone is that? A Sennheiser or what am I looking at?
Yeah. MD441.
Cool.
Yeah, I like microphones for sure. I mean, I do like vintage gear. I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Backed you into a corner there.
But a lot of it's really expensive. But yeah. I mean,
I love talking to drummers about this, because the instrument itself is so hard to record. So all of the decisions matter a ton. And like you have an image of what you're trying to accomplish, and sometimes that sounds very different than necessarily what it sounds like in the room too. Just super weird. A lot of sources, like guitar, is like pretty much like, I'm going to make the amp sound really good the way that and then I'm going to put a microphone in front of it.
Yeah.
Drums can be like,
That's something a lot of people don't realize when you book like a session in recording, so much of the time is dedicated to the drums. Totally. It's crazy. I'm there the whole time. Guitars, you do them. A couple mics in front of it, like you said. Bass, you can even do a DI, whatever. Obviously, vocals take some time. But like, yes, the acoustic instruments take a serious amount of time and a serious amount of just know-how, really, and experimentation. I mean, when I'm recording drums on my own, I usually like to start with all the mics. I'll probably scale it down to probably 3 or 4.
Ooh,
because I'm just kind of like, okay, I don't really need that, because maybe this groove doesn't need a hi-hat mic or something like that. And
totally.
And maybe I don't even need 2 overheads because phasing issues or something like that. You know what I mean? So
kind of sound,
and I'm pretty loose. And one thing I'll always do though with drums, I'll always stick you can call it an elbow mic, a crotch mic, or whatever mic. A versed mic, that is just a mic that your shittiest mic that you stick like over the top of the kick drum, pointed at the snare, and crush it with whatever effects you want and blend it in. That's just a thing I always do. But yeah, I'm pretty like, when it comes to that stuff, I'm like, man, if it's on me, I'm like, as few mics as possible, but just really good mics and intentional mics, like the right mics for the thing, for the sound you're going for. But yeah, I mean, most of it is you have a sound in your mind, you want to recreate that, you don't, but you end up doing something kind of cool anyway. And so you're like, fuck it, that's awesome,
Exactly. No, I mean, that's exactly what we were talking about with Motown, right?
That's like, that is what it is. And like, even when you get like the most seasoned old heads, like that have been making records since the 80s or 90s, and you go in there and they're like, I don't know, let's fuck around. Let's put some things here. Let's put some things there. I mean, Steve Albini used to just like put mics on the ground. You know what I mean? Always just throw them somewhere. A stereo pair or something like that. And like the last record we did with Ezra, we did in Chicago at Narwhal Studios with Brian Deck, who's like a legend. He's done like a bunch of Counting Crows records, a bunch of like 90s records. He was in Red Meat. That's a sub pop band way back in the day. But like, yeah, man, he was just like, let's mess around. He's a drummer though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So he was down to like kind of mess around. But he obviously had his own way of doing things, but he was, it is just so much experimentation. I think that's like such like the fun of it. It's like an art,
Yeah.
It's less of like, it's less clinical and just much more of an art.
Definitely. Especially as I don't know, like I've worked with some engineers that will always do different toms from different kits, like a different rack tom versus floor tom.
Oh, really?
It's like a weird unmatched thing.
Why not? Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, I do actually really like the less mics, the better on the drum kit. Yeah, like phasing, but also you're forced to make decisions when you're recording rather than like 50 mics. And then later on as a mix engineer, you're like, well, there are 100 different ways I could go. I don't know what the band actually wants, but I have every microphone I could possibly imagine.
Exactly. Like I just don't have the patience for it.
No,
you know what I mean?
Totally.
I like making the decisions.
Make a call.
I love making the decisions there.
Yeah.
Like just we're printing this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or like even printing effects on stuff is just like, that's printed on there. We're not changing that. That's cool. And you need that. You need those like to kind of anchor the sessions to be like, I know this is cool. And like that's where we're going to start at when we're mixing, so.
Exactly. And even when you're mixing, you have tools you can pull that up or down in a few different ways. So it's not like you're trapped, especially because we're in digital. Like we can clean things up, we can gate things, we can do whatever.
Yeah.
But make a decision. And then also if you're going to an outside mix engineer, they're not starting from zero. They're not starting from like no context or what the band's trying to go for, trying to like listen to a rough and be like, I think that's what they mean. You have a pretty clear roadmap of like, no, this is what they want. Make it louder, make it better, make it hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're just way more successful when you're put in that position versus the position to be like, make 1,000 decisions before you even start mixing.
Oh, I know for sure. Like I can't imagine like what like a mixing engineer is working with like in a band like that. Cause there's so many different types of personalities out there, obviously with mixing engineers and stuff like that. I know that they just want to get your vibe. They're not trying, you know what I mean? Like they're just trying to help you make the best thing that you did, make the best of it. And like anything that you can give them, that shows that, or makes it sound like that from the jump is super important to them. And it's going to be more successful.
Totally. I mean, and like when you have stems that get leaked or shared or whatever, the ones that turn into really amazing mixes typically sound pretty good when they're delivered to the mix engineer. It's like, go figure.
Dude, totally. Right. Who knew?
But a lot of that comes down to like more with less, right microphone, right players, right time. The other thing with drums that always blows my mind are drum heads and tuning, because I feel like and I'm still not a very good drummer, that is a rabbit hole that can go on forever. And I'm like sometimes just scared to look into that pit.
Dude, I'm glad you asked about this because nobody wants to talk about this stuff.
That's what we're here for.
But I've gotten some good advice from like drum techs that I've been on the road with. Like recently, last year I was on the road I was playing with the opening band for My Morning Jacket.
Cool.
Grace Cummins. And I was talking a lot with their drum tech. Mm-hmm. And he was kind of just giving me like, he's like, you know what, man, you kind of just got to get close. It depends on the drummer and like what technology you want to use. Like I have a digital reader and stuff like that. I can get very finite. It's tough for sure. And it really depends on knowing the right balance between what sound you want, the right head, and, even the right hoop can make a difference. But at the end of the day, strike it, tweak it to where you want it, where you think sounds good, and it's probably it's close to there. But man, it is a rabbit hole. It's crazy. So I have this thing. What is it called? Like a drum dial. It's the digital readout one, but it clips onto your tom or drum hoop, and you basically tap around it, and it can monitor. It just tells you, it reads out what frequency.
Yeah, cool.
You're running at. And for when you're touring, it's kind of nice because then you don't ever have to think about the problem's never going to be your drum tuning.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even if you're choking the drums like a bit and whatever, like everybody does. it's nice to have that consistency, because then your sound engineer's like, oh, that feedback's coming from something else. That's the room that needs to be tuned or whatever.
Yes.
And that's a big thing that's really helped with the sound, I think.
That makes sense. Like, you want to hold some things constant when you're on the road, because
Whenever
everything else is changing around you. Yeah.
Totally. And every venue's different. Every venue's different. And a lot of them weren't built to be venues originally.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Totally.
So you're like, sound engineer is to your left, or like, upstairs to your left. And like, so there's a lot of different variables in that regard. So anything you can keep consistent touring is just like, definitely with your sound is like crucial. It's really important you do that.
Really, really good advice. So the show is called Love Music More, and this segment is called Love Music Why. Sam, why do you love music?
Oh man, that's a great question. I love music, I mean, honestly, because it brings people together. I mean, I know that sounds corny, but like, let's just take touring, for example. Like, you get there, and everybody there is for the show. They're for the concert. They're for the music. They all work together from the morning to the nitty gritty at night. And we're all there for a good time. And it's just working together. And it's just a little community everywhere you go. And you all have that in common. And it's like the reason you're there. And I just really love that the community aspect around music. I mean, it's just like, let's a lull in the conversation. You listen to any good song, like what's on the radio? You listen to any like good records or anything like that, and 9 times out of 10, somebody would want to talk about it, at least just to pass the time. Just to, it's just a really cool thing.
It's a really cool thing, and it's fun to what a cool job.
Yeah, what a cool job. It's beautiful. I mean, it's such like an important art. Art is more important. I mean, is more and more important every day in this kind of like landscape politically that we have. But and just it's just super important, and really it brightens your day even in a really terrible day. So
yeah, exactly. No, it's fun to think about the techs and all the people that grind so hard building stages, building truss and lighting. And
love them, dude. They're so cool too.
They're such cool people.
Dude, they're really rad. Like the techs, the crew, always be incredibly nice to the crew. They're like the best people, and they do that every day. And they're building the stage every day for a different band. And anytime you can shout out your techs or just working with they're cool, and just like working with those people, man, it's fun. It's cool. Everybody's just so nice.
I agree. Yeah, it's a special thing. So where can people get in touch, hire you, listen to the music that you've been a part of? Instagram?
Oh, yeah, right on. Instagram is Camaro Man. That's CAMAROMAN __. But you can look me up. My website is samdurkes.com. I got a couple of bands. Art More, I put out a record a couple years ago on Anti. You can check us out on Spotify or whatever. And then Ezra Furman, there's like 7 records where I play on. And yeah, hit me up. Whatever. Let's talk. Let's chill.
Hell yeah. Well, it was fun chilling with you, Sam.
Dude, it was great talking to you, Scuba. It was awesome.
Yeah, until next time, man.
Yeah, cheers, man.